So let's go ahead and complete the ledger portion of this. And really, this should be the easy part. So we're basically just going to copy our journal entries into our ledger. So we will start with October. Actually, that's not 100% true. We need to take our beginning balances into merchandise. So what you'll want to do is, if you have a phone or a calculator, you'll want that. Oops.
Why? You never tried your phone? I charge my every day. Every night.
Okay, so the only thing that we really need to carry over as a beginning balance is inventory. So in this merchandise inventory account for the ledgers, Peter, are you paying attention?
No.
Okay. Thank you for your honesty.
No.
In the merchandise inventory ledger, we need to bring over a beginning balance before we start making those adjustments based on the journal. So remember at the beginning of the month, we had merchandise on the shelves to start the month. So we need to add together all of our totals that we started the month with. So October 1, we need to take $52.50 plus our October 1 here of $360.80 plus the October 1st total of $43.50. So add those three numbers together, and that would tell us the total amount that our merchandise is beginning with when October starts.
That would be debit.
Um,
On the balance side.
Yeah. But we don't actually need to write it as a debit here, like a transaction. We can just put it in the balance portion. But yes, a debit. So it should be $456.80. I'll zoom in a little here. There we go. And I'm just going to write beginning balance. Okay, now from here we can just post into the ledger based on the journal entries we've already completed. So we can start with the very first one listed, October 10th. We debited our merchandise $700. $33.20. So make sure you have your date. We are on page 2. If you notice here at the top of your journal, it says page 2. So that's your post-reference numbers, always general journal 2. And we had debited this account $733.20. Are these skinnier lines than normal?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we would take, if we had a debit, we added a debit, we're going to add these two together for our new balance. Which is Logan Lance.
1,190.
Good. Okay. Within that same transaction, we credited accounts payable. Actually, don't forget your account number. Credited accounts payable. So slide down. On 10th, we credited payable $733. Before you move on too far, make sure you get that account number, 201, and place it back on the journal. Okay, that one's done. Head nod if you are caught up. Alright, let's go to the 11th. Cash debited $110 on the 11th. Find your cash account. Make sure when you finish filling that in, you take your account number, which is 101, and place it back in the journal. And that's just kind of an indicator to you that yes, you have posted. It's good and finished. Next is your sales revenue was credited 110. Sales is at the very bottom of this first page. And again, account number. Head nod when that one's done. Alright, let's do the next part of the 11th. Cost of goods sold, debited, 70. Yes, do you have a question?
You know how you said we had to put...
Alright, so the second part of this is cost of goods sold, debited, 70. This is your back page. And then merchandise credited 70. So if you're working ahead, pause for just a second and just follow along on the merchandise inventory. Just make sure that you're doing these ledgers correctly. So for this merchandise transaction, I need to credit the account $70. If I have debits and I credit the account $70, that means I take this balance, $1,190, I subtract 70 from it, but I keep that new amount in the debit column because there are still more debits than credits. So I would take 1,190 minus 70, I would have 1,120. Okay, just make sure that you're understanding what a debit means versus what a credit means within each account. Right, so if you have one of each, then there's subtraction going on. If you have two debits or two credits, it's adding. All right, I'm moving on to the 13th. Am I going too fast for anybody? Okay. My cash is increasing. 7, 10, 60. Cash, debit, 7, 10, 60. Again, this is two debits, right? So I add them together. So your cash should be at 820 then. One. My sales gets credited 710.60. Oops. Second part of the 13th, your cost of goods sold should get debited 463. And merchandise is credited 463. I'm sorry, what?
Can you go back to cost of goods sold?
Yes. So merchandise credited 463. So your merchandise should be at 657 at that point, because it's another credit that gets subtracted. Alright, moving on to the 15th. Does anyone need me to pause and go back on anything? Alright, so the 15th, sales returns and allowances gets debited $27.50. What's wrong?
I thought it was 2,750.
Nope. Just $27.50. And then your cash is going to get credited. So then make sure here in your cash account you're taking $820, which is your balance, minus $27.50. So it should be, oh, I got a mistake. $793.10. So So your cash should be ending at $793.10. 101. All right, second part of the 15th I'm doing, merchandise inventory gets debited $17.50. In this case, you have a debit, you need to add the debit. Cost of goods sold is getting credited $17.50. You need me to go back? I am on the last transaction, the 16th. Does anyone need me to pause and just wait? Everyone's good? Okay, so the 16th, accounts payable is getting debited $17.50. So if I have a credit, I need to subtract that debit. And the last one will be merchandise credited $7. $402.101, $114.501. Last one's $201 and $114. So please just make sure those are all correct. Flip to your ledgers. Start with cash. I'm just going to check your balances. So double check your balances. It should be 110. Then it should be 820 and 60 cents. Then it should be $793.10 is where it ends in the debit. If anybody's off, please let me know. I'll stop and we'll figure out what's wrong. So next, merchandise. The first debit should be $456.80. Then it should be $1,190. Then it should be $1,120. Then it should be $657. Then it should be $674.50. And then the last one should end at $657. Any questions on the merchandise? Zane, did you have one?
No, I put something in the wrong spot.
Oh, okay. All right, next, accounts payable. Your first should be a credit of $733.20, and it should end at $715.50 on the credit side. Next, your sales revenue should have a credit of $110, and then should end at $820.60 on the credit side. Sales returns and allowances should only have a debit of $27.50. Cost of goods sold should start at a debit of $70. Then have $533 and end at $515.50. Is there anything that I should go back and check? In the textbook. So if you get stuck, you can always see the answer and then try to determine from there. Okay, page 578, self-review quiz. You are journalizing and then posting each transaction with the subsidiary ledgers. You are only posting to the accounts that you have.